to Financial Insider Weekly. I am your host, Michael Gray, CPA. Today, I'm going to be talking with Tom Anderson, and Tom is the President and CEO of Pensco Trust, which is an IRS-approved New Hampshire chartered bank and trust company. They have operations in San Francisco, and they're custodian for self-directed retirement accounts. All right, Tom grew up in New York, and in 1969 started working at Hartford National Bank, where he became the head of systems development and strategic planning. In 1981, he came to Bank of America in California, where he became head of trust systems development and trust and stock transfer data processing. And in 1989, he founded Pensco Trust.
That's correct.
Got it right this time.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, Tom has a really interesting background. He testified to the Department of Labor and the IRS about IRAs, and he helped instigate changes to the IRS regulations governing IRAs, specifically relating to the capital requirements for any company offering IRA services. He was invited to Washington, D.C. in March of 2009 to participate in an elite group called the Future Finance Initiative to make recommendations about the future of banking in the United States. And today we're going to be talking about alternative investments besides real estate in your IRA or Roth account. Now, we previously discussed real estate, and you can see that interview under past episodes at our website, www.financialinsiderweekly.com. Before we get started, I want to give a caution, and that is that we're discussing items and issues related to a very complex area. And so this should just be a starting point for a bigger discussion, and we think that you should get qualified legal and tax advice. So this is just a way to get some initial information about this. Okay, Tom. So let's help get people back up to speed again about some of what you do and so forth. Why did you get into the area of offering independent trust services for IRAs?
Well, one of my consulting assignments, when I left Bank of America, I started a consulting firm to help other banks, and I started helping a bank that was essentially doing what I do now. And they weren't doing it very well, and I helped turn it around, and some of their brokers and clients said, if you ever start your own business, we'll transfer our accounts. So that the light bulb went off, and I started investigating and realized that the nature of all the different types of assets and being able, having to handle those different types of assets beyond stocks, bonds, and mutual funds was ideally suited to my background, because I developed and programmed trust and investment systems dealing with all types of assets. So I thought that it was a good opportunity. It was growing, emerging market, and something that was a win-win. The public would benefit, and I would benefit.
Okay, great. Now, why would someone consider the alternative of a self-directed IRA with an independent trustee like your company?
Well, I think that's very opportune question and answer for me, and that is with the market being what it has been over the last 10 years. I mean, the Dow Jones is back where it was in the year 2000, and that doesn't account for inflation. And yes, it's gone up recently, but it also was way down. So people have not seen growth in their retirement accounts if they were entirely in the stock market. So diversification beyond the stock market is something we offer. We don't sell investments. We don't give investment advice. It's strictly on the client or they and their advisor to select the choices. But we carry them out. We execute them. We keep all the records, do all the tax filings, and do the customer and tax reporting. But we really open up a myriad of opportunities. I mean, anywhere from buying, let's say, foreign stock to foreign real estate. We had a pediatrician in San Francisco, for example, on 2 separate occasions, about 7 years apart, buy real estate when the market was right in New Zealand, and then sell it for a handsome profit, 280% return on the first case, and he's still holding on to the second property. But So when the markets are favorable outside of the United States, you can enter those with an IRA. What we generally see is people doing what they know best and applying their expertise maybe in their business career to their investment strategy. So you have a realtor who's selling property all the time, looking at property, able to select a good property for their retirement account, one that'll either generate income in the short term or appreciation in the future. So they see these deals, and they you know, rather than give them up to a client, they might take the opportunity to do it for themselves. Or you take somebody, we had a guy who bought 40 head of cattle in his IRA.
That's unusual.
Yeah, he's down in Hollister, California. Why would you think that he'd buy 40 head of cattle?
Well, because he understood the cattle market and
exactly.
how to make money with it.
For his whole career, he was in the cattle business. He knows if you get a male and female together, you're going to have, you know, 3 or 4, and it keeps growing the herd.
Yes.
And ultimately, when you sell the herd off, you make a handsome profit. And rather than dabble into the stock market that he doesn't know that well, or for that matter, even real estate, he's doing something. He's applying his knowledge and skill to his retirement account to help it grow. We had a bankruptcy attorney in Texas, and take a wild guess what he purchased.
I think bad debts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, bankruptcy claims
Yeah.
At pennies on the dollar,
Okay.
waiting for them to go through the receivership, and then emerge as they collected all the assets to being quite valuable. So, you know, we see all kinds of cases like that. We had my favorite case, though, I have to say, is a woman who called me back in July, I believe, of 2005, because she was in Fortune magazine on this story, and said, I'm in Alaska. My husband and I are on a fishing boat 10 hours a day. We don't own a computer. We don't understand the stock market, but we understand fishing. And we've been doing it for 20 years, and we have the opportunity to lease for 5 years the rights to fish a certain part of the ocean for black cod, and we will have those rights exclusively up in Alaska. And I can, you know, lease those and then sublease them to day fishermen for a profit, a margin. Can I do that with my IRA? And I said, absolutely. And so again, her story, she's pictured in rubber gloves and a smock with a whole bunch of black cod in her hand, talking about her IRA account. So we've seen all kinds of different cases where people apply their expertise to their retirement account.
So maybe we can elaborate a little bit. There are a lot of banks and brokerage companies and so forth that say that they offer self-directed IRAs. So how is what you offer different from what they offer?
Well, generally, although they're permitted by law to do the same thing we do, they don't for a couple of reasons. One, they're handsomely compensated on selling stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and it's more profitable for them to sell those investments than it is to administer a piece of real estate or the fishing rights in Alaska, because they basically, once you acquire them, they just sit there, and there's not that, you don't get the commissions and the trading and all that. Secondly, their platform, both on a systems basis and people basis, is not attuned to all the paperwork that's associated with these investments. Essentially, it's like getting an assembly line product from the stock market kind of perspective versus a handmade shoe, because every transaction that we entertain is a one-off. Everyone is different. So if you're buying today in Kentucky, you know, an acre or whatever, it's different than buying 2 acres in Idaho. They have different title companies, different brokers, different laws in some cases in these states. In some cases, you don't deal with a title company, you deal with an attorney. Similarly, if you go outside the country, it's even more complicated. So the large brokerage firms and the banks, they don't want to deal with all those complexities, and that's why we have that opportunity. I mean, we focus on it, that's all we do.
Okay, great. What types of retirement plans does your company handle?